The European side is on fire. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly mod collection demo shop update. Starting with the first Gibson Bouzouki. Yeah, that's right, the mod guys came off of inventory with something absolutely off the wall. Look at this thing. So it started life as one of those SG specials. So it would have had a wrap tail piece, 2 P90s, and looked something similar to this. But they gave it a custom color. They decided to cover over your wrap tail piece with an acoustic style bridge. And then they had 2 custom tail pieces screwed into the top, because this is an 8-string instrument. Which, if you're not familiar with what a bouzouki is, the only time I ever heard of it was Phil X talking about it in the old Fretted Americana episodes. But it's a pretty popular instrument in Greece, and part of the long-necked lute family. But on top of all this, you get Firebird pickups in here. You get a matching headstock with an old-timey Gibson logo, which I think looks perfect on this. But take a close look here. This is a 6-string headstock converted into 8 strings. And of course they had to redo the nut. But look at this. This really impressed me because in order to convert the headstock, they had to move all the tuners around. So what it looks like they did is they put a flame maple veneer on the back here, painted around it so it just looked natural, created a stinger effect so then they could drill the new holes in the headstock without looking too out of place. And then obviously painting the front of the headstock hides the old holes. And they completed the refin work on the rest of the guitar too. And I've never played a bouzouki before, so I decided to pass on it, but that was before I saw the stinger on the back and realized it was a custom color. Yeah, I probably should have bought it for documentation, but I'm not sure how well I could have played the thing anyways. But that's another one to put down in the history books. But no, the SG that caught my attention the most this week was this regular standard 61 in Sparkle Storm. So normally you can only get these things in a cherry or a black finish. Or Guitar Center has a new burst color if you're into that. But this is like a pinkish red burst sparkle. I thought it looked fantastic, especially with the complementary chrome hardware. But it wasn't just the body, it was also the headstock. The Gibson logo got a little bit obscured by the finish. And I was a little bit sad at first to see that the neck did not get the continuation of the burst job. I mean, they even painted the back plate on this thing and the headstock, so why not the neck? It's because they made a sparkle stinger back here. So that was pretty cool, even at over $1,000 premium. Here was a standard 60s in a cool vintage Cobalt. I could see this becoming a new production color, and they'd probably sell a good amount of them. Make it a limited edition for 1 year, because I think offering it for longer than that might get a bit tiresome, but that looks fantastic. Interestingly, they left the back alone. We had a deep forest green 335 with cream plastics, with matching back and natural neck. An Eyebird old-fashioned standard 60s. That looks pretty good for like a Halloween exclusive. The black hardware pairs well with that color. But ooh, yeah, that's where they did this one nice. You get the burst on the back neck and headstock. It's unclear if the edges were also bursted, but this does appear to be a satin refinish. Next up, we just recently got that new Tobacco Sunburst 50s P90 standard, this time a one-off electric emerald. I mean, for only $200 more, you might as well get something that's a one-off. Now, I'm a fan of green guitar, so it works for me, but maybe not for other people. But they left the back alone, and it's got some nice figuring on top of it that was well worth the price. This 335 had an interesting name of non-burgundy. So what does that mean? I'm not entirely too sure. It looks like it's a slightly brownish color instead of red now. That's weird having that style vibrola on a 335 because it doesn't go all the way down. But it appears they continue that finish slightly up the neck. And the headstock inlays have a lot of blue in them. A nice historic truss rod cover. Kind of along a similar vein, this is Black Cherry Satin Explorer Custom. Just looks like black from far away, but it's a dark cherry color if we adjust the contrast here. Here's a good photo showing what that would look like in person. But I've got to say, really digging the reflector knobs on an Explorer Custom. That pairs great with the hardware and the whole double black bobbins. And it looks like it also has a matching headstock. There was a random lefty Les Paul Jr. I didn't even know they were making those things in lefty. The pickguard just blends in. And this one's interesting, Bullion Green Metallic on a 335 figured. Seems a shame to cover up a flame top, but it happens every day. Has a cool Fender Texas T style finish to it. And you get the matching headstock. But holy cow, what is going on there? Straight up gold neck. An acquired taste, but it might work in person. That one is definitely exotic. And the last of our 12 is a Pato Green Firebird Custom. I don't know what happened to these guys, but they really missed the boat on the St. Patty's release. Like, they could have had 16 great green guitars, but they just came late. This Firebird Custom actually looks phenomenally good. You get one of these gaudy vibrolas. The uncovered bridge pickup somehow works because you're playing off of the black plastics, and the gold cover of the neck pairs with the rest of the gold. Of course, it has a matching headstock and a matching back. So man, that was just a breath of fresh air. Some real creativity and some interesting colors. But next we got the USA demo shop. Not too many interesting, it's all about the European side this week, but there were a few gems. There was a nice 339 figured in Blueberry Burst. It has a nice cloud-like top and back to it. Next is this 59 standard. I initially was just going to share it because, I mean, that seems like a pretty good price, almost 1,500 bucks off. But then I saw it. What on earth is that? It looks like they might have been using this guitar to practice a new aging technique that will show the brighter finish that would be under the pick guard had it been removed. It's either that or somebody just really messed that guitar up, but there's gotta be a story to that because that is exactly what it looks like. And hey, it's not a bad top either. I also cannot complain about the backside. The 60 standard had a phenomenal top. And there was one lone custom color called Cerulean Surprise. As far as wood grain goes, it's pretty alright. It has a non-Les Paul silk-screened headstock with black tuner tips. And then interestingly, they left the back red. I think the blue and red kind of work. But now, my friends, if you remember correctly, last week, the European demo shop just took a complete break while Gibson was doing inventory. But they came back with a vengeance this week. So many cool models, some of which I didn't even know existed. Well, first off, there's a double neck. I mean, under $5,000 in that market is actually pretty good. Kind of interesting wood grain on here. Very circular, then your kind of traditional flame figuring. There were a lot of signature guitar models, which you don't see in the demo shops of either country too often without being modified, but this is one of those Dave Mustaine silver flying Vs. That's not really that big of a discount, but you have to remember it includes value-added tax. Then they also had one of the Rex Brown signature Thunderbirds, as well as an Adam Jones standard, which I think in that market they're about $3,500 everything included. Not a terrible deal for someone if you don't mind the giant demo stamp. But look at this thing, I had forgotten about them. So Firebirds, when you think Firebird within Gibson territory, you think one of these. But there's also a model within the acoustic lineup called the Firebird. It's got a cool fiery pick guard over here. It's got flames as your inlays. They can also look like crowns depending on how you're looking at it. But then there's also flames on your bridge. And then you get a unique flaming Firebird on your headstock. I love these things. And if that's not enough, it's incredibly figured on the back. You got literal flames in your wood. Perfectly book match. You don't see that in Gibson's catalog very often. And your neck's not bad too. It looks like it's a 3-piece neck with just one center seam of walnut. But this one was loaned out to be gigged. Somebody added a strap button on the side. But yeah, even the edge is incredibly flamed. I love that dark finish. I'd love to document one of those one day. That one's being offered at $4,500. This SG Faded, I thought it looked particularly nice. Rather than a straight up mahogany-like finish, it almost has a burst effect to it, which I thought is nice, especially since it has the maple neck. Kind of lessens the look of that. I saw the Slash standard in here, listed as a demo for $2,100, including everything. That just seemed like such a ridiculously good deal, so I had to flip through these photos. And sure enough, there it is. Got damaged in shipping, sank the knob straight through the top, cracked it real good. Is it ever going to affect playability? Probably not. So it's a great way for a player to save $1,000. This thing's a really good deal. I'm surprised it hasn't sold yet. It's listed as Les Paul Standard Nordic Blue, but I think it's actually an R9. So it's got a cool blue flame top, ABR1 bridge, probably has a long neck 10 and all that other good stuff, but it has black binding, including along our fretboard. But then we flip it over to the back and it's a nice dark purple finish. That's great. Headstock's pretty much normal. But then the back has the leading 9, which makes me think, yes, this was probably a 2017 1959 reissue. Gibson liked to play around with the reissues in that late Henry J era. This really reminds me of some Japanese custom orders I've seen. Oh yeah, that's a great cross section. The black, the blue, the purple. Nice. But even with all the condition issues, that's actually a really fair price. I think they're underselling it by not calling it a 59 reissue. But I was really shocked to see this, a Gibson Theodore in the demo shop? We haven't seen anything from the archive collection in a while. I wonder if that's like a every 5 years type of drop, maybe every 10. I thought for sure we would have seen something else by now, so maybe they don't have as much in that collection as we thought they would, but this one has a big demo stamp on it now. But let's check in on the market of those. Seems to be going up a little bit. There was a time where you could pretty regularly get these around 4,000, but now they're starting to hit that brand new 5K price point. Now, of course, the natural ones typically always sell at a premium. Next up, we had one of the CME exclusive Shell Pink SGs. Now, if you're wondering what it's doing over in the Netherlands, it's because CME has partnered with Andertons for a lot of their custom colors, so they share the runs. So that's probably where that one was initially headed towards. We've got a Mojave Burst Les Paul Standard. It's pretty nice looking. Thought I'd share it with you. Finally, look at this Les Paul Classic Honey Burst. It's $1,600, and that top is insane. I love it. Let's count the rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe a 7 in there. It looks like maybe a hidden 8. It just has so much going on. Like, it reminds me of my Eyebird. There's so many eyes going on with this thing. It's very unconventional, but I love it. The back's really fuzzy looking too. But now this thing, if you stayed all the way through the episode, I'm gonna grant you access to this weird thing. It's called the Gibson Americana Ranger. I clicked on this thing thinking, nah, it's just one of those like L00 type guitars, nothing I'm necessarily interested in. But as soon as I flipped it over to the back, I was like, what? I've never seen that. It reminds me of the Chet Atkins models of the 80s. We've got some sort of a system going on back here that needs a 9-volt battery. The headstock has an inlaid fancy pre-war Gibson logo. It dates to late 2005. It's branded Americana series, so maybe there's other Americana guitars I'm not familiar with. Pretty standard bridge. It appears to have a satin finish. And judging by the way it looks, it appears we've got a spruce top slapped on a chambered mahogany body to make it look like an acoustic. But my friends, look at your side control panel, like holy cow. That is fancy, old-timey 4 screws in the side, but I love its agedness. It looks like you even have a little LED. It has a lot of steampunk vibes to it, but you control your lows, mids, highs, and volume. Yeah, kind of cool. And apparently it comes in a giant bucket head case. I'd never run into these before. The only reverb listing I can currently find was 8 years ago for a little under $1,000. I always love learning about new models because it's not every day I find something that I haven't already seen before. But alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this week's recap. I know I did. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.